Did you know your overall health depends on a microscopic layer most people have never heard of? The glycocalyx? Welcome to the future of vascular health. Healthy vessels, healthy future, the podcast dedicated to uncovering the hidden science behind vibrant health, longevity, and vitality. Brought to you by the Glycocalyx Research Institute, each episode delivers cutting-edge insights into microvascular health, empowering you to finally understand why you might be experiencing fatigue, brain fog, or poor circulation, even when your labs seem normal. Through actionable advice and expert interviews, you'll learn how protecting your glycocalyx can significantly improve circulation, support your heart, enhance brain function, and prevent serious vascular issues before they begin. Tune in weekly and discover how healthy vessels today create a healthier, brighter future tomorrow.
Well, welcome back to the Future of Personalized Medicine Summit. I'm Steve Adams from Tiger Medical with Dr. Hans Vink. Dr. Vink, let me give you a little bit of background on him. He's been a tenured professor 30 plus years at the University of Amsterdam and the University of Maastricht in the Netherlands. And he's also the person credited in the literature for discovering a new organ called the glycocalyx that we're going to talk a little bit about today. But most importantly, what he's going to talk about is how it gets damaged, but then how can you restore it, and what are the implications of that? Dr. Vink, welcome to the summit.
Well, thank you, Steve. My pleasure to be here.
Yeah, and just so you know, Dr. Vink is also the Chief Science Officer of the Glycocalyx Research Institute and Genesis Health Sciences. Full disclosure, I'm involved with this company as well as an executive, so we are partners and we work together. But this is next generation science, and we want to make sure everyone here gets to hear about it. And I want to make this really important statement. If you're here to optimize your health and enhance the odds of greater longevity, what we're going to talk about today should be a foundational aspect of everybody who's on that journey. So, Dr. Vink, can you maybe give us a couple minutes? I mean, it can be 5 minutes, whatever, just your story about how you became the world's most renowned researcher in this area of glycocalyx health and discovering the glycocalyx, and maybe what the science path was for you.
Sure, Steve, I'll try to put it in a few minutes. So originally I was trained as a physicist in the late 1980s. And as part of my physicist training, I did some rotations in different workplaces. And one of them was in the Academic Medical Center in Amsterdam. And they had a department called Medical Physics. And that's a mixture of all kinds of people working there. Physicists, engineers, but also clinicians, physiologists. And it happened when the moment I entered that lab to do a tour, one person that I started working with, Peter Wieringa, he just returned from the US, and he had made some wonderful video recordings of living tissues, small blood vessels, showing how red blood cells flow through these small capillaries one at a time. And seeing these videos, and hearing his story, it became apparent that there was this big discussion ongoing. Why are there so few red blood cells in these capillaries when you look at them live? And there was this wild hypothesis that maybe there's something inside these small blood vessels that's invisible, transparent, nobody knows, that might occupy like 2/3 or 3/4 of the volume of the vascular system, and nobody knows about it. So that triggered my curiosity. Starting making many of these videos, and then work with my future mentor Brian Dooling in Charlottesville, Virginia. And with him, we realized really there is something inside these small blood vessels. There's a gel inside small blood vessels that's stuck to the wall. It's a protective gel called glycocalyx. And then we've developed some techniques to image glycocalyx, really showing that more than 50% of the volume of these small blood vessels is filled with this protective gel. And then we figured out that when you break down this gel, and it's damaged when you're exposed to all the classical risk factors. So if you smoke, or you don't watch your diet, or you get older, or you don't control your glucose or insulin levels or your blood pressure levels, then the first things to be damaged is this protective glycocalyx gel. And then when the gel is damaged, you lose a lot of your vascular protective functions. So you produce less nitric oxide. So your vessels will constrict and your blood pressure will go up. Your vessel wall surface becomes very sticky because the gel is a lubricant, and when it's gone, everything will stick. Red blood cells, blood platelets for coagulation, but also inflammatory cells will stick and cause inflammation. And also the vessel wall becomes very leaky. So fluids will leak. You get edema, swollen hands and ankles. You'll lose your proteins that you'll see in your urine at early onset of kidney disease, for instance. But also larger molecules like cholesterol. The bad cholesterol will easily leak in your vessel wall when your glycocalyx protective gel is damaged, triggering the onset of atherosclerosis. So fooling around for a few decades in experimental settings, it became obvious that this gel is not only real, it's very thick, and also very important to keep your blood vessels healthy. And that triggered the next step to develop a medical device called GlycoCheck to be able to measure if your glycocalyx and your microvascular is in good shape also in humans, in healthy humans and in patients. And so that kept me busy for the last 15 years or so.
Wow, that's impressive. And so talk a little bit about the device. Like it's had 15 years of research, really validating that it is an accurate method of measuring the current condition of your microvascular health. Is that correct?
That's absolutely correct. So, when we made that switch from just research settings, big microscope in experimental research models, to a medical device to be used in humans, we use a small handheld video microscope, and you can just put it in your mouth, and you have live imaging how red blood cells flow through capillaries. And one thing that we learned in the earlier studies, if you look closely how red cells flow through capillary blood vessels, and especially when they get close to the surface of the blood vessel wall, you would think they would touch the wall because the red blood cells need to be squeezed and deformed into these small tubes that don't really fit. So these are 5-micron diameter vessels, and the red blood cells are about 7 microns, so they're squeezed. But when you look closely, they don't touch the wall. They don't even get close to the wall. There's this thick glycocalyx compartment in between the red blood cells in the center of the vessel and the luminal surface of the endothelial cells that make up the wall of these microvessels. So in healthy vessels, the red cells all stay nicely in the center of the vessel and don't touch the vessel wall surface because the glycocalyx is in between. So one thing we realized, as soon as glycocalyx gets damaged by any risk factor that we can think of, then the glycocalyx become mechanically less stable, becomes highly permeable. There's holes in glycocalyx, and then the red cells will just punch little holes when they flow through the vessels and get very close to the endothelium. So by measuring the distance of the red cells to the endothelium and how they try to move into that protective zone of glycocalyx, that's turns out to be a very accurate measure of measuring glycocalyx damage. And now, of course, in the past, we did validate, if that method is accurate. So comparing with electron microscopy or atomic force microscopy, all kinds of other imaging methods that are very accurate to see if the functional measurement of glycocalyx with the red blood cells, if that correlates well with the other measures, and it does. But no, the best proof is in all the clinical studies that we have been doing. So people have been using the GlycoCheck device in over like 200 different academic medical centers now, in all kinds of different clinical studies. And time over time, the GlycoCheck system underlines that breakdown of your glycocalyx is one of the earliest steps of vascular damage in a wide variety of patient groups.
So I think you were going to share some slides where you could show, the company has developed a nutraceutical that mimics the processes in the body that actually can restore the glycocalyx, which is really the hope in this message today. It's not all bad news. Like you can actually do something about it. And I'll say right here, my scores have improved over the last 3 months since I started adding that. I was already doing the lifestyle factors really well. And so the ReVasca has been just that last piece that has kind of helped it all come together and improve both of my measures.
Yeah, let me show you a little bit about that ReVasca supplement.
Are you feeling tired, foggy, or noticing poor circulation despite doing everything right? The answer might be hidden in your microvascular health. Introducing ReVasca and Renew, two groundbreaking supplements scientifically designed to restore and protect your vascular foundation. ReVasca revitalizes your circulation, supports heart health, and naturally boosts your energy by repairing your blood vessel lining, the glycocalyx. Renew complements this by providing deep cellular repair, resilience against stress, toxins, and inflammation, and enhancing your overall vitality. Together, ReVasca and Renew offer the complete solution for lasting health from the inside out. Visit glycocalyx.com today to learn more about how these powerful supplements can help you reclaim vibrant health and lasting energy.
This is key. People that are watching, just listen here, because he's going to explain the underlying mechanisms that are in this supplement that actually correct the problem we've been talking about.
So before we switch to the supplement on the left, you see the GlycoCheck system. So it's a little handheld microscope and a computer and the software to automatically measure the health of your glycocalyx and how many small capillaries you have and all those parameters. And the ReVasca is a third generation supplement that Bob Long and I worked on over the last 15 years also to optimize the therapeutic targeting, really to improve the health of the glycocalyx. And ReVasca has 6 main components that all have different functions to help you improve the health of your glycocalyx. So one of the most important one is a seaweed called fucoidan. And this seaweed, if you look at the molecular structure of this seaweed, turns out to be a hybrid of 2 known polysaccharides, heparan sulfate and chondroitin sulfate. And turns out those are the main polysaccharides that are just growing in your own natural glycocalyx. So we've done a lot of testing and it mimics perfectly the properties of your own glycocalyx polysaccharides. So what happens is when your glycocalyx is compromised and there's holes in your glycocalyx, any of the fucoidan circulating in your blood will instantly associate with your vessel wall surface, filling up those holes and rebuilding a couple of micron thick, mechanically stable new glycocalyx coating that will prevent even activated leukocytes from sticking to the wall. So it is really very fast in repairing the holes. Another exciting property of that fucoidan is because it's so similar to the endogenous heparan sulfate glycosaminoglycans, it also is a very good inhibitor of an enzyme that's targeted against those heparan sulfates. So the enzyme is heparinase. And the heparinase enzyme, when you have the fucoidan present, will bind to the fucoidan and doesn't target your own glycocalyx. So it deactivates that enzyme that is responsible for a lot of the breakdown of glycocalyx in different patient groups. Well, similarly as the fucoidan, there's another polysaccharide called hyaluronic acid. Hyaluronic acid actually is very similar in structure as heparan sulfate, but we do know that especially the high molecular weight hyaluronic acid molecules form a big part of the volume of glycocalyx. So hyaluronic acid molecules are huge and they can bind up to 1,000 times their own weight in water. So basically the glycocalyx is polysaccharides, but only 1% of the volume of glycocalyx is polysaccharides and 99% is water bound to proteins that bind to these polysaccharides. So hyaluronan is very important for the volume and the water content of your glycocalyx. Another important polysaccharide that we added in this last generation supplement is what we rebranded Vasca, which is a high concentration of the ace-mannan polysaccharide. And ace-mannan polysaccharide comes from the aloe vera plant, and that has been used for thousands of years to treat skin issues, burn wounds. That turns out to be a very powerful immune modulator. So really optimizes your immune system to whenever your immune system needs to kick in to be ready to go and really help you to improve much faster from all kinds of immune challenges. So those are all three polysaccharides, three different kinds.
Mm-hmm.
And another important property of glycocalyx is to help your vascular wall to produce more nitric oxide. And a good balance between nitric oxide production, but also the scavenging of oxygen radicals locally produced that deactivate the nitric oxide is also a very important property of your glycocalyx. So to help your glycocalyx to deactivate oxygen radicals, we added natural sources for two enzymes, superoxide dismutase and catalase. So those bind within the polysaccharides of glycocalyx, are very close to your vessel wall, and they capture and deactivate locally produced oxygen radicals, so thereby preventing breakdown of your glycocalyx. And then to further help your vascular wall to produce more nitric oxide, we added two other components, L-citrulline. L-citrulline is used by your endothelial cells to produce more nitric oxide, so a substrate for nitric oxide production. And also polyphenols from the skin of apples and grapes that we find in a compound called phinitrox really help also to produce more nitric oxide with your glycocalyx. So all these combined, they're all very powerful, but then they have synergistic effects on each other. Because if you have more polysaccharides, it will produce also more nitric oxide, because your endothelium uses glycocalyx to sense blood flow and produce nitric oxide. But the nitric oxide is more effective if you can scavenge oxygen radicals. And then with the phinitrox, you even have more powerful production of nitric oxide. Also, all together, they really help and form a very powerful mix to improve the health of your vascular wall.
And I had you do this because so many supplements are pushed.
Thanks for listening to the Future of Vascular Health. Healthy vessels, healthy future. Ready to uncover what's really going on beneath the surface of your health? Take our quick ReVasca quiz today. Discover how well your glycocalyx, the crucial microscopic lining of your blood vessels, is functioning. ReVasca isn't just another supplement. It's a scientifically backed solution designed to naturally strengthen your vascular health from the inside out. Say goodbye to persistent fatigue, brain fog, and circulation issues. Say hello to lasting energy, clear thinking, and vibrant health. Go to www.revascaquiz.com now to take the ReVasca quiz and start your journey toward better health today. Because protecting your glycocalyx means protecting your future.